Okay, so, uh-oh, how do I? Okay, that should do it. Art should be on screen now. Uh, like last time, I'm pretty sure all of this is like the official Trench Crusade art. Don't know fully how to credit it. I think it's Tomas, I think that's his name, that drew all this stuff, so just keep in mind all that stuff. Anyway, we're back with some Trench Crusade stuff. Been a while, I know. Sorry, SCP took over my life for a while. But we're here. We're doing faction overviews, and I have a script, so let's stop the little preamble and let's get started. I'll correct myself on whatever. I've been sitting on the script for like a few weeks, so anything that's changed since, I'll have to correct. We're doing faction overviews for starting with New Antioch. Faction overviews for Trench Crusade starting with New Antioch is what I meant to say. Okay. Now, if you saw the last video, you'll know that I have never played Trench Crusade. I'm proud to announce that, well, I have not yet played a match, but it's in the works with some friends. Anyway, I just want to let you know that, so I'm going to stick with Trench Crusade. Don't know if you'll ever see like a proper battle report, but at the very least I have, at the very least I have no plans currently to record them, but if something cool happens, I'll see what I can do, like transcribe it from memory, things like that. But let's move on to the content you're actually here for, that being the faction overview, or whatever I can give. Now, keep in mind that all the art on screen will be Antioch related. I'm not going to be looking as the transition happens, so whenever it happens, just know, like, hey, that is indeed more than likely for the new Antioch faction. I know specifically there's the Combat Nun in here as well. That is a mercenary for the Trench Pilgrims as well, but given that it's a Antioch model first and foremost, then that's why she's in here. Anyway, I'm also going to repeatedly refer to it as just Antioch. I understand that this is new Antioch, and that, does matter for lore-related reasons, but as this is new Antioch, given that old Antioch isn't around no more, it's the only one left, it's, Antioch in my mind, so just keeping you aware. Now, Antioch is a real place. There's also apparently some Californian town named Antioch. I didn't know about that before I was writing the script. I had to look up, like, various things about Antioch. I was like, what the fuck is this place? But no, when I refer to Antioch in this video, it does not refer to California, as currently there is nothing in the lore or timeline or anything for the New World in Trench Crusade, as we're all focusing on the Old World right now. I don't know if that's ever going to change, and I'm personally of the opinion that, hey, if it does change, I wouldn't personally mind. But no, for anyone who got their hopes up, we're not referring to the Californian town of Antioch. And if your hopes were up, why? Anyway, it refers to the ancient city of Antioch, located in Turkey, in the modern city called Antakya. Something to that effect, anyway. Um, but if you know of Antioch for any, what do they call it, pop culture related reasons, that would be because of the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch from, what is it, from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. That's what you'll know it from. Anyway, let me just take a sip of water. Anyway, in real life, the ancient city of Antioch was founded by the Greeks. This was done for various trade reasons and some military-related reasons. You know how it generally goes. Later, it was then used as the Romans to act as a form of capital. Uh, but anyway, Let's get off of the historical aspects of Antioch before we now. But before we do fully get off of the historical aspects of Antioch, let's talk about one important historical aspect of Antioch: the Crusades. That wake anyone up? Antioch was an important place in the historical Crusades, and since Trench Crusade happened because of the Crusades, it's got some important bits to talk about. Crusaders sieged and conquered Antioch on the way to Jerusalem. During the first Crusade, by the way, like that is what I'm referring to, given that Trench Crusade only follows the first one. I mean, there are some other bits and chunks during the other Crusades. There's also various bits about trade in the area, how Mongols affected it, formation of the formation of its actual historical principality, and all the weird court politics that happened because of stuff like that. An example being a brief attempt by Alice of Antioch to block King Baldwin II from entering. That's not the Leopard King, by the way. That's an ancestor of the Leopard King, if you know the name Baldwin. Sorry, to take a sip of water. But you're not here for like historical, real life Antioch stuff. If you were, you would just open up the Wikipedia page. Talking about the fictitious version of Antioch. The new Antioch, but at the current time of Trench Crusade in 1914, New Antioch has stood for roughly 300 years. Remember, Old Antioch was supposedly destroyed by a mysterious demonic weapon in the year of 1545. Uh, in 1595, however, the walls of New Antioch were completed. Have you ever seen the official map of Trench Crusade? If you've never seen the official map of Trench Crusade, I recommend highly that you do. If I remember to put one in, the description may have a link for it, but don't hold me to that. Anyway, if I don't just look it up, point is, these actual fucking lunatics are living with the very real, very actual Jerusalem portal to hell to their south. Heretic-controlled space to their north and east, and the bay to their west. Now, having a bay to your west wouldn't sound too bad if you didn't remember the heretic skill on the seas and their constant, unceasing naval raids, both typical, sea barges and submarines. So, having the bay to your west isn't exactly the greatest thing for Antioch, in all honesty, but they make it work somehow. For 300 years, they've made it work somehow. Stood to find in the face of odds that honestly should have done them in by now. But that's kind of their strength in a way. They're a lighthouse for trouble. It's stated in their lore primer that if New Antioch falls, all of the Levant will fall with it. Whether or not that's an exaggeration, well, honestly, I think it might actually fall. All of the Levant, that is. New Antioch gets paid in tithes from all the faithful under their banner. You may be thinking of tithes as such, how like vassal states give money to whatever state like owns them or controls them or like polices them. Not really the case for New Antioch specifically. Um, I'm sure they do get paid some coin or like paid off in various ways, but most, if not the entirety of their tithes, are paid in endless trains. Well, I mean, like caravans, deliveries, etc., of food, tools, ammo, weapons, skilled and unskilled laborers alike are all sent to New Antioch from all corners of the map. Africa, Europe, sea and land, doesn't matter. As such, there are constant, unceasing efforts to keep these lines defended. You got to keep Antioch's wheels spinning. I personally really like this mention in the primer, by the way, that their supply lines are kind of getting messed with. I'm sure you've noticed the video just before this one got posted was me talking about things like logistics and supply routes and stuff like that in stories, so I think that having a mention of that in lore primer was actually really cool. Uh, in any case, New Antioch is the fortress that holds up the entirety of the Levant. In the lore primer, it said that against 8 great sieges they've stood. Not against just 8 sieges, mind you. Against 8 great ones. Not that that's the only sieges they've faced. Her walls boast 77 great towers to act as bastions that, from what I can tell from the art, also have massive artillery batteries attached to them. Even still, beyond that, there are hundreds of anchorites, which we're going to talk about anchorites more in the Pilgrims video, but just making note here that hundreds of anchorites are embedded in the walls to act as continuous watch. Anchorites are like a mech suit, kind of. We'll get into that with Pilgrims. Hey, you ever heard the saying, America is a melting pot of culture? This is thrice true for Antioch, with a healthy dosage of enforced religious dogma. Again, all corners of the current map, right? Africa to other parts of Europe to the Shire. Is that what it's called? Whatever the Emerald Isle, right? Scotland too, Prussia. I think Finland is mentioned, right? Literally everywhere funnels into Antioch, and they're right next to the Great Sultan of the Invincible Iron Wall, the two horns that pierce the sky. Uh, so I'm sure there's a lot of collaboration there as well. Maybe not like a lot, but there's definitely some collaboration there. Especially given that some of their mercenaries, some of the mercenary options, they got the Mamluk Fari. Is it Fari or Ferris? I don't know. As well as comet biologists are said to hail from also the House of Wisdom. So no doubt in my mind they have some form of cooperation between the two. Anyway, within Antioch there is the Office of Propagation of Virtue. Think of it as the Orthodox Church's CIA, essentially. They're constantly prowling and watching the streets of Antioch for any deviation. I mean, sure, they ignore and turn a blind eye to the revelry of the soldiers. That's a direct quote, by the way. Anyone else, though? Enforced. It's said their weekly executions draw a fine crowd. Ain't that something fun, eh? Or how about Antioch's wonderful factories? Endless plumes of choking black smog, signifying the lovely warm breath of the factories, fit to bursting with souls, making everything from knives to tanks to artillery shells. They burn white hot day and night, don't you know? And beneath the city itself are techno laboratories, or whatever it's called, undergoing all sorts of genetic experimentation. You know, given that this is a diesel punk setting, there are thousands yearly dying in factory mistakes and accidents. But hey, don't worry, there's dozens of statues and monuments decorating the city that celebrate them in death. I personally like to imagine it as pristine white limestone lists of names adorned with stone crosses and iron nails, all covered tip to toe in red hands. I think that's a fun image, right? Bloody handprints of friends and family all across the top to the bottom. Something about that's a striking image, and I like thinking about that. That sounds weird, but you get what I'm saying. But like I said, or like I alluded to, kind of, Antioch is a lightning rod for trouble. That being said, it actually can't survive this trouble. It is directly stated that New Antioch actually cannot survive a full-scale collective assault, you know? Heretics and demons would be too powerful all in one. The only reason that it hasn't fallen yet is that the timeless perspective of the demons and constant unceasing backstabbing and treachery within them keeps New Antioch alive. That and the demons wish to prolong torment, not specifically to win the war. A point that many on the Reddits don't seem to have caught on to somehow. If you could believe it, ending all of like reality isn't exactly the goal of demons who kind of just want to like torture and murder people because they hate you. They don't want you dead, they just want you suffering. They're not trying to win the war, they just want to fuck everything up until they eventually lose. Book of Revelations and all that. Um, there's a few more mentions and notes here and there, but it's mostly just preamble stuff, setting the scene, rising tensions and fighting, stuff like that. It mentions how the War Cardinal's been sending more scouting parties and like skirmish platoons out to the Levant and No Man's Land to try to recover holy reliquaries to do scouting missions, and how they're constantly fighting with each other due to conflicting orders, things like that. It's just setting the scene for the game. Overall, personally, I really do like Antioch. They've got their pick of the litter when it comes to sub-factions, admittedly. So much so that it will have to be its own video. Like, straight up, it will have to be its own video. So we're not covering Antioch sub-factions, which is why I kind of didn't want to do Antioch first, because it sets a bad precedent for the rest of these videos, but in future videos, say for Pilgrims, we're going to cover Pilgrims, and then we're going to... well, it's not going to be Pilgrims next, it's next probably be like Court or something. For future videos, we're gonna cover the man. The court would be a bad one too, because the court doesn't have any sub factions right now. For future videos, if I could get on topic for once in my fucking life, we're gonna cover the main faction, and then we're also gonna cover the sub factions. So for Pilgrims, we're gonna mention like the Pilgrims general rundown. Then we're gonna go into. I love this piece of art, by the way. We're gonna go into the procession of the Sacred Affliction, the Cavalcade of the Tenth Plague, and the Pilgrimage of Saint Methodius, as those are the only three factions currently. For New Antioch, it will have to be its own video, as Antioch has. Let me really quickly pull up the Trench Crusade website. Uh, Probably too many factions to us. I don't want to say too many. Oh, by the way, 1.0 rules released. Get fucking hype. Warbands and Trench Crusade. I don't want to say too many, right? Because that's like, well, you know, who am I to say that's too many warbands? Really, why shouldn't there be double the warbands? Or sub-factions, rather. And I do mean that. I really can't wait for more sub-factions. But let's see, table of contents, keywords, Antioch. Here we are. Thank you for the lore primer right there. Warband. I should keep this open so I can mention like their unique equipment and maybe stuff about their models, because we're going to talk about a little bit of that. Not overly much, but just a bit. So we have Papal States Intervention Force, which is Swiss Guard, basically. Oh, hot damn, that's beautiful art. By the way, with 1.0 release, there's new art. It's really sick. The Erie Rangers, so that's two factions already. Kingdom of Alba Assault Detachment, which is Scots. So that's three sub-factions. Stormtrooping of the Free State of Prussia, which is 4 factions now. Expeditionary Forces of Abyssinia, 5. And I think there's one more. No, okay. So they have 5. Pilgrims has 3, for reference to another holy uh, faction. Sultanate has like 2. House of Wisdom, and they have Defenders of Iron Wall. Legions has 3. That's Knights, that's Naval Raiders, that's Trench Ghosts. Black Grail has 2. Dirge and Hunger, and Court has exactly 0. But your entire faction is like 7 different sub-factions, so I don't really give a shit about Court players. No offense, Court players, but you have your pick of the litter since the start. And I hate you for that. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. I say lying. Uh, just checking, make sure. Yeah, it just looks like 3. It's Knights of Avarice, it's Trench Coast, and that's Naval Raiders. Okay. Let's go back to Antioch. But they have 5 as opposed to most 3, if not 2, or outright 0, right? So, well, that's not mentioning their fucking mercenaries, by the way. They have access to Scripture Guard. Oh, right. Actually, Antioch has 6. There's the Red Brigade, which I think is still currently playtest or something. I don't know. It's a separate PDF entirely. That's not counting Antioch's fucking mercenaries. Let's see who we got here. I know we have Scripture Guardian, we have Combat Biologist, we have Communicant Anti-Tank Hunter, Communicant, uh, Ammo Monk, Mamluk Fari, let's see, missing one, Observer, and what the fuck is this? Oh, hell yeah, that's a new... Wait, no, I was wrong, it just changed the name. And the Witch Burner. Right? Like they have choice for everything. And I like that, right? I like that they have choice. It makes sense given that they are the fortress against hell. But we gotta spread the love a little bit, yeah? Like you hell players straight up have 2 mercs. That's Goetic Warlock, is it Goetic or Goetic? Goetic Warlocks and Sin Eaters. And if you're Black Girl, I think you just have Sin Eaters. I don't even know if they're any good. But like I said, overall I do like Antioch. They got their pick of the litter when it comes to sub-factions and a lot of that stuff. But let's get on to the fun stuff, right? You know, my unplanned thoughts about New Antioch start now. I'm gonna start just saying shit. Okay. So, like I mentioned, I kind of like and dislike that they have everything because on one hand I get it why they have everything, but I don't like them having admittedly more stuff than Pilgrims because I'm a Pilgrims fan. We'll see all my bias come out during the Pilgrims video. I'll give you Hell players your dues, but I mean, I've never been more. Okay, that's a lie. I'm interested in literally every faction. They all look really fun to play, except for, weirdly enough, New Antioch. I've never been a fan, personally, of like fire team playstyles, because that's kind of how Antioch works, right? Their whole mechanic, or like major mechanic, is having what's called fire teams, where your boys group up for a little bit of I'll just read it outright. New Antioch fire teams. A new Antioch warband can include up to 2 fire teams. Each fire team consists of any 2 models from the warband. All of the models in the fire team are given the fire team keyword, no additional cost in ducats. Fire teams in New Antioch warband have a concierge attack ability. This ability is, if a model from a fire team hits a target that has already been hit by an attack made by the other member of the fire team, you can spend 3 blood markers to convert the injury roll for a second attack into bloodbath, even if they're not down. It basically promotes ganking someone, I guess, which I like, right? That makes sense, and you were probably already going to do that anyway. I just don't like fire team gameplay. Because it's just not really the way I like playing. I like getting them in there. Get the fuck in there, right? Like, drive your teeth in their throat gameplay. Pilgrims fan, like I said. Uh, okay, I'm just making sure this is like in sequence, because otherwise it'd be way worse. But anyway. And you know, you got your typical you got your yeoman, right? It's your yeoman and shit, but it's not too bad. Ooh, hot damn, imagine your body armor looks great. Oh, 45 ducats, that's why, okay. Whoa. Sorry, I'm just now looking at their special equipment. This shit's good. Holy shit, machine armor's fucking amazing. Limit 1, that makes sense. Okay. Sorry. Uh, whoa, hold your fire, that's cool. Oh, that's bullshit, actually. What the fuck? Anyway, you've got your typical models, right? You've got your yeoman, who is, if you could believe it or not, your typical basic unit. You've got your lieutenant, or lieutenant, whatever you want to say. I like saying lieutenant, even though I've not British fucking Call of Duty, uh, or Modern Warfare. You've got your lieutenant, who's got your typical, leader characteristic 2-2 for ranged and dice, 32 millimeter base. Is that universal? Is the Praetorian 32 millimeters? Anyway, he's got a fun ability, right? Sniper priests, who I love their lore. These guys blind themselves because they see better without eyes. So like they'll do it's like a ritual, right, where they actually blind themselves. Their art has them bleeding from the eyes with a small halo before them with their Lee Enfield in hand, bayonet attached for some reason. Even though they're a sniper, generally speaking, don't want anyone up in their face. Uh, Holy shit, you can't spend blood markers to reduce their dice to a ranged attack? That's crazy. And then a risky action for +2 dice to the roll. Generally speaking, you kind of want to put a Trench Cleric's Blessing marker on them to make the 3d6 pick highest too, and all that. If it's successful, you get +2 dice to roll, like I said, which is fucking amazing. Um, Not bad shit, right? Your Trench Cleric is like a buffing unit, 1/1, ranged melee characteristic. Not bad. He has negate fear. Everyone within 8 inches. Nice. Uh, like I said, Yeoman, your typical 0/0. Uh, Hold on, let me just take some water real quick. Nice. And you can make them an infiltrator for like 10 ducats. Not bad. Shock Troopers, your typical melee unit, just a +1 bonus to there. So, New Antioch's like gimmick is being the like how do you want to call like this like a scalpel, I guess, like a specialized tool. Everything has a bunch of different things, and of course you have like everything. Your what's it called? Arsenal is really literally everything. You have automatic stuff. Even if there's limits, you still have automatic stuff. Heavy shotguns, right? Heavy flamethrowers, grenade launchers. Let's see. Kind of what regular grenades do you have? Yeah, frag grenades, incendiary grenades, satchel charges. You have everything that isn't gas, right? Or the infestation grenades because that's specifically Grail. But okay, so this is actually great because the yeoman's on screen. One thing I don't like is their fucking look, dude. It's so boring. Well, yeah, exactly. Here, look. See that man in the red helmet? That is, if I remember correctly, that's a lieutenant. He's really fucking lame to me. I mean, if you're into that look, no, like, uh, don't want to be rude to you, but like, explain to me why. You have your typical like olive, I think that's olive colored, whatever, drab green fatigues and coat and all that. Your lieutenant has a red helmet to note rank. You got your typical brown military boots, brown gloves. I don't like that. That's so boring to me, if that makes sense. Because it's so. Okay, I'm going to go back really quickly to the last piece of art. This is a bit better because it's a thick, heavy cloak, right? Or not cloak, thick, heavy coat. And I like thick, heavy coats. They're fun. I got one in the closet over there. It's like a. Uh, I don't know, whatever, who cares? Uh, but it's just so basic. I mean, this helmet's fun. This helmet design is fun for this yeoman. I like that. I just wish the rest. Like, Shock Troopers got that right. Like, because they're coated in metal armor, and that guy right there is fucking atomized. Shock Troopers got this right. Given that they are, Shock Troopers. And sure, you can make the argument, oh, cheese underscore stick one, that's not their equipment, that's just them using, if not reinforced armor, but like not what's it called? Basic armor? It's not called basic armor, is it? I have the primer open. I have the PDF open. I can just check really quickly. I want to buy the physical book though. Standard armor. That's what it's called. And you could argue cheese underscore stick one. That's just standard armor, right? That's just a suit of armor. If you want them to look cool, you can kit bash, whatever. My complaint is not that, oh, I'm being forced to use the stupid basic as military fatigues and all that. No, my complaint is that I think this look is boring for what's kind of currently the poster child faction. I mean, I guess the Heretic Legion is also the poster child faction, but they got some looks to them. If nothing else, they have nice like accessories. The tactical fetus is not something you'll ever forget. But for this, it's what? Antioch's crest? And Antioch's crest is pretty, but maybe some more things? Maybe some more specifically faith things. This is Trench Crusade, after all. Put the Crusade in there, right? With Pilgrims, their headpiece, which I prefer vastly being the Capriote, is unmistakably faithful. This is just a guy, right? Maybe Christian, but this is just a guy. We may be thinking, okay, cheese underscore stick one. What about the heavy mechanized infantry? I prefer anchorites, and I don't like anchorites. This is because I don't like power armor. I like them in tabletop, right? They're a good big like tank unit because that's what they're made to do, right? They're also a good shooting unit because Antioch's good for being a shooting unit. And I think three is a good limit for them as well. They're your strong unit and all that. But like, I don't personally like big beefy power armor. And part of Antioch kind of feels like you're thought around bringing them. They're the force multiplier. I think they can even be upgraded to elite. Thought they had tough. I guess not. Um, do medics have tough? No, they don't. They have some merc. I have no idea. Like if there was the case for combat engineers, I feel like it would. If the idea was you're being kind of nudged into taking combat engineers, I think I would like Antioch way more because I like the idea of I guess they'd be stepping on the Sultanate's toes a bit. So I guess that does make sense actually. But I don't personally like the whole. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? This is just me saying, oh hey, I don't like this myself. I don't like the fire team gameplay, and I don't like heavy mechanized infantry kind of being your de facto shooting unit laying down covering fire. They have strong, so give them the light machine gun or give them uh, the assault rifle. Is it called auto? No, it's called automatic rifle. And sure, there is also good reason to give them what's it called? What's their specific heavy ballistic shield? But I I'd rather a different kind of frontliner. Like Stigmatic Nuns are my preferred frontliner because A, I'm a Pilgrims fan, and B, because it's a more interesting way of being your tanking unit outside of just being, by default, -2 to your armor characteristic. That's any injury roll against you, subtract 2 from that. 9 is, you have to roll a 9 to get an out of action, right? So for this, you have to roll an 11 or higher. Or straight up a fucking 3, which that was the Warwolf's whole gimmick is you can't take the fucker out without a bloodbath, practically, unless you're lucky, but even then they have tough. But like, I think that's kind of lame, is my whole idea here. The rest I really do like though. Like shock troopers are fun. Uh, you can ignore heavy for them for melee weapon specifically. When you roll charge, you roll an extra d6 and take the higher one because you're designed to get the fuck in there as a different way of being just +1 characteristic to dash or charge or diving charge and shit, climb and all that. Like everything else, in my opinion, is way cooler than fucking heavy mechanized infantry is. But you kind of want to bring them because they're what you're. Maybe I'm completely wrong because again, I haven't played yet but it kind of feels like that's what New Antioch's kit directs you to, and I'm not a fan of that style of gameplay personally. The warband, the sub-factions, however, I really do like. I don't particularly care for Papal States, maybe because I haven't read them yet. Like I read everything once over. Every single thing in this book I've read once over, and the stuff I liked I read double time, if that makes sense. Um, Papal States at a glance didn't do it for me. Erie Rangers kinda don't either, right? Kingdom of Alba I don't care for. The only thing I really give a shit about is Prussia, which is weird because Prussia is more fire team gameplay. Like one of the rules, expert fire teams. Some ship in a free state of Prussia can include 3 fire teams instead of 2. Uh, Felkeplan. I'm sure I butchered the fuck out of that pronunciation. Clerics can have a dose of holy smoke because it's like their unique shit. Uh, 2 shock troopers get infiltrator. Holy shit, that's actually really cool. I haven't read this in a while. Uh, oh man, light melee instead. Okay, but I like them mostly because Master of the Grenade. Add 4 inches to the range of all grenades used by models from a stormtrooper and from a free state of Prussia warband. Right. Uh, Rapid Assault, +1 dice success roll when a model takes the dash action. Because I really like models that get the fuck in there and tear shit up, and grenades are great for that, right? Um, it's just like, I don't know, most of Antioch doesn't do it for me, which is a shame. Because I do really want to play Prussia, because I like grenades and I like getting in there. Which is funny that I want to play Pilgrims because their grenades are limited to incendiary grenades and Molotovs and war crosses. Which war crosses are cool. 8-inch range. I don't. Let me just bop myself over to Pilgrims, Armory tables, uh, punt gun, war cross. Here it is. Yeah, 8-inch range. Ignore long range. Um, as, also, it's assault. It's grenade. Great for just putting on like a stigmatic nun and all that. But I'm losing track of everything I'm saying because I wanted this to be about Antioch. Uh, is there anything else in particular I like about Antioch? Because I realize I've kind of got into the negatives. I like their equipment a lot, right? And I like the lore there's in their equipment. I say it's their equipment because like that's it's like pilgrims don't get access to it. Uh, Grail doesn't get access to like the heavy shotgun. I like its lore. It's called like the Wolf Killer or some shit like that. Let me find it. I think that's just in basic rules though. Just say digital rulebook. Ooh, this one's a hefty bitch. She's loading. Uh, right. But I don't know. Most of Antioch just doesn't do it for me, which I feel like. And that's again, I really feel wishy-washy because I have to keep going like, oh, I don't think it's bad for things not to. What's the word? Appeal to me specifically. It's just like I don't know. I wish they were more interesting. I guess is my problem because they're the place, right? And I guess that kind of does end up. Oh, damn, this is a new piece of art I haven't seen. That's really cool. It's like a field shrine with guns hanging all over it. That's actually really cool. Wow. Shotgun, silence. Okay, right, alphabetical order. Heavy shotgun, here we are. Massive 8-bore shotgun is used to take down extremely powerful and large opponents at short range. It is known as Wolf Killer in New Antioch, as it's the favored weapon favored by the soldiery of the Duke to take down the heretic werewolf assault beasts. Heavy shotguns use tungsten or calcium alloy shot, which explains their enormous stopping power at short ranges. +1 dice heavy, +2 injury dice if you're at short range, so not long range basically. I think that's really cool, right? But that doesn't really transfer to the rest of Antioch, which is a shame because, like I was saying, and it does make sense for them to be the jack of all trades, master of none, given their lore, given that they are the beacon of the Levant against. I do like their By the way, I really like their logo. It's on screen right now. Their little sigil, little emblem thing, and it does make sense that they're the tip of the spear against hell. That's why it's a spear tip, and it makes sense that they're jack of all trades given their lore of being the dumping ground for everyone, being the melting pot, being the fortified bastion against everything that is heretic. I just wish that translated to. And I guess they're modular enough. I guess what I'm trying to say, I wish it was more like Court. Court has a bunch of shit to do. They have so many like tricks to pull from their bag. Same with Iron Wall, right? With their alchemical ammo, with their Taquin creations, they have a lot they can do. And in comparison, Antioch just feels like, okay, you're the shooty faction, and sure, your models have different like things you can lean into, but they just lean into different ways of shooting. Again, I haven't played yet. I could be very off base, but I just wish it was more than just we are the de facto shooting faction designed around getting bloodbath off quicker. I don't. I guess. Oh, I don't want to end it like that because that's such a sour note to leave it on. I want to emphasize I really like Antioch. If nothing else, for the ability to be as modular as I can be, for the different sub-factions, for the different sub-factions as lore, which are going to need to be their own video. There's so many of them with, pretty in-depth things. Like, hell, if you go to the lore page on Crusade, Invasion of the Eerie is its own... Ugh, sorry, I had to bite back some bile. Invasion of the Eerie is its own entire lore book, right? The 1807 Invasion of Eerie, something like that. Expeditionary Forces of Abyssinia, they have their own lore book, right? Like, I'm going to need to do their own, like, lore tidbits. Same for, I mean, I could have done the same for heavy mech infantry, but I don't care about them, sorry. Read that lore on your own time if you want to. But, like, I do like how much there is. Same with the War Cardinals I could have went into, but you can't play as one, so I didn't care. Our Lady Immaculata Penitence. Culture Penitence. Anyway, uh, Powers of Great Europe. So far, Finland has only this one lore book, and it's about how they're broke as shit. Uh, anyway, um, I like how diverse Antioch is what I'm trying to say. And even if it doesn't appeal to me, if this right here on screen appeals to you, shit, dog, more power to you, and I hope that you stick with it, play some games and all that. Maybe like a By the Rules and like a box set with the STLs or something. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the Antioch video. I hope I wasn't too rambling all over the place, but I guarantee you I was. Regardless, that's what you signed up for. Have a good rest of it, y'all, and go with God, huh? Because it's Trench Crusade. Have a good one, you freaks.